Hey, church. I hope you're doing well. I want to talk to you today about a four-letter word. Now, don't go all down that road and get all dirty in your mind and think of all the four-letter words that you might know. I want to talk to you about a particular one. And it's not one that may jump to mind right away. But this is it. The word is diet. That's right. The four-letter word, diet. You see, sometimes diet is a harmless word, and it's not really one that causes much offense. If you talk about your diet, you just mean all of the stuff that you eat on a day-to-day basis, the food that goes into your mouth and nourishes your body, hopefully. That is just, it's not that harmful. It's just kind of a word to describe something. But then there are other times that we can use the word diet that's a little bit more sinister, has a little bit more juice behind it. Like we can say, you better watch your diet. That packs a little more punch. Or it's time for you to go on a diet. Yeah, that one hurts. Diet, when used in that way, can be a little bit rougher, can't it? But I think it's appropriately named. I think it's one of the words in our English language that is well named. And here's how I think the name came about. I'm no linguist. This isn't factual. I'll begin this story with once upon a time, so you know that it's fiction and I'm just making this stuff up. But this is how I think the word diet came into being in our language. Once upon a time, there was this group of people and they were concerned about the way folks were eating. They were concerned about the way folks seemed to be getting more out of shape and not eating as healthy as they thought that they should. And so they were all talking amongst themselves and said, we got to come up with something. We have to come up with a way to convey to people that they need to eat a little bit healthier, be a little bit more active, watch what they're consuming. We need to come up with a catchphrase for this. And they talked and one person suggested, why don't we just tell them it will feel like you die when you give up these things, but it's worth it because you'll be healthier. And they talked about that idea for a little bit and they were like, no, that's not clicky enough. It doesn't have the right zip to it. There's not the ring behind it. We got to come up with something better. And then another person said, hey, why don't we just say no sugar? It'll be fun. And they were like, no, I don't think people are gonna buy that one either. We gotta come up with something else. Another person said, hey, why don't we try this? Just eat what you need. That's it. Stop when you're full or a little bit before you're full. Just eat what you need and don't eat excessively or habitually or when you're bored or any of those other times. Just eat what you need. That can be our slogan. And then people will want to buy our protein bars and be more healthy and follow our plan for right living. And they talked about it a little while and they were like, no, I don't think that'll work either. And then there was this other person and they were sitting kind of in the corner, just kind of brainstorming, and that phrase just kept going over and over in their brain. It will feel like you die. 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 It will feel like you diet. I figured it out. Let's just call it a diet. And they were all like, ooh, that sounds good. We could call it that. And so the word came to be, diet. It will feel like you die when you give up whatever food you're supposed to give up. And that's an appropriate name for such thing. Diet. Bet you didn't know that one before. And you still don't know it now. But, dieting is a big deal. At least in the U.S. If you do a little Google search, it's something like $72 billion per year that we as Americans spend on dieting and health and trying to get in better shape. $72 billion a year spent on dieting. My brain doesn't really comprehend that amount of money. And yet we're going through that amount annually as a nation, just looking at our diets. That's kind of crazy. And it's even more interesting and more crazy if you believe another statistic that says 95% of diets fail. 95% of diets never make it to their goal. $72 billion a year on something with 5% success rate. It's mind-boggling, really, when you think about it. And yet we do this over and over and over again. And we try all kind of different things. And we're trying to answer the question, how might I be satisfied? You see, I think that's the real issue here. Sure, we might phrase it in terms of how might I lose weight? How might I be in better shape? How might I look my best? How might I perform at my peak? But I think underneath all of that, we're asking the question, how might I be satisfied? And then we try to answer it with all of these different diets. Will the Atkins diet work? Nope. Ketogenic? Nope. Vegetarian? Nope. Vegan diet? No. How about the caveman diet? Eat like a caveman? Nope. Superman diet? Nope. Batman diet? Nope. Wonder Woman? You get the idea. Nope. No calorie, high calorie, low calorie, all fat, no fat, high protein, no protein, limited carbs. Only eat as much as you want within this amount of time and then don't eat anything the whole rest of the day. No, you should eat 25 meals a day, all spread throughout in little increments. Don't pile it all together. You need to carb load. You need to carb resist. All of these things. And we ask the question over and over and over again, how might I be satisfied? And we pursue it through this industry and these practices, and we spend $72 billion a year on it, and 95% of them fail. There's only a 5% success rate, and none of them have the right answer. We will never be satisfied if that is our source of satisfaction. It doesn't matter how good of shape we get in, or how strict our diet is, or how unstrict our diet is. If we follow my particular favorite that I like to do in seasons, the seafood diet, you've heard that one before. You seafood, you eat it, that's the fun diet. If you follow whatever it is on wherever spectrum that is, and you're looking for satisfaction, it won't be found. You're destined for failure there. That's never going to happen because we're looking for an answer in the wrong place. We're searching for what satisfies in the wrong arena, in the wrong area. And this has been going on for ages. This isn't a new problem. Even back in the time of Jesus, people were looking to their diet to satisfy. Now, I know things were different there. The overconsumption that we have is more of a modern problem. And even if you look across the globe, you can see where hunger is a real issue in a lot of places in a lot more severity than it is here. There are folks that are wondering where they might eat, period, not if they ate too much. And so there was a little bit more of that here, but still people were looking for that which satisfied in a place that could never fulfill them with what they really needed. Our scripture today, it comes from the Gospel of John, chapter 6, and we'll look at verses 30 to 35. And I want you to hear just this little exchange that happens between Jesus and a crowd of folks that have gathered around him. So they asked him, this is the crowd, they asked him, "What miraculous sign then will you give that we may see it and believe you? What will you do? Our forefathers ate the manna in the desert, as it is written, He gave them bread from heaven to eat." So this crowd comes to Jesus, and they're like, "Hey, what's you going to do for me? How are you going to prove yourself? You remember back in the day, our forefathers, our ancestors, those that went before us, they tell us the story of how manna was provided from heaven. What you got?" They tell us the story is how every morning they woke up and there was enough for them for the day. Jesus, you got any response to this? What are you going to do for us that we might believe in you and follow you? Jesus said to them, I tell you the truth. It is not Moses who has given you the bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is he who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. Jesus says, hey, hold on just a second. Let's get things straight. Moses, he didn't do it. It wasn't by his power, his will, his strength that your ancestors ate, that their bellies were fed. Moses, yes, he was faithful. Yes, we can point to him as a founder of the faith. Yes, there are good qualities that Moses displayed, as well as some bad ones from time to time. But Moses didn't make it rain down bread. That wasn't Moses' doing there. That bread, that manna, that sustenance, that came from the Father, who gives the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is he who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. Moses, good, but not the provider in that way. Sir, they said, from now on give us this bread. Yeah, now you're talking. Bread that provides life. Why don't you give us that? Okay, let's get past Moses. We can do that. Bread from the Father. How about you give us that? Then Jesus declared, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will never go hungry. He who believes in me will never be thirsty. Jesus looks at him and said, you're looking for bread, but really you need me. You're looking for something that you can fill your tummy, but really you need something deeper than that. You're looking to be satisfied with manna, but I'm the Son of Man. Duh. Okay, my little rhyme may not have worked that well. You can judge for yourself. But Jesus said, you want bread, I'm the bread of life. I'm what you need. I'm the answer that will satisfy you. If you believe in me, you'll never go hungry. He who comes to me will never go hungry. He who believes in me will never be thirsty. Now, it's tempting to think, Jesus is talking about a meal ticket here. A free pass to Easy Street. Believe in Jesus, and I don't have to thirst no more. Believe in Jesus, and I don't got to go to that bread store. I don't know where that song came from, but we can read this passage and think that we'll never be physically hungry again, or we'll never be physically thirsty again. But Jesus isn't talking about that. He's talking about satisfaction on a deeper level. He's saying if you want to truly be satisfied, truly have what you need, you have to put your life in my hands. You have to believe in me. I am the bread of life. There is no other that will give you life in the way that you need in this world. On the one hand, that sounds kind of easy, doesn't it? An easy diet plan. Experience the impossible. Come and taste this bread that you'll never hunger, you'll never thirst. It's easy. It's just one thing. It's Jesus. And that, on the surface, that seems like, yeah, why not? We should do that. But then when you dig a little bit deeper, it gets a little bit trickier, a little more complicated, because, belief in Jesus isn't just cognitive belief, but it's actually following a diet plan and going a little deeper into relationship with what Christ asks of us in our lives. You see, diets as we know them, if we remember from our story, it feels like we will die, or it feels like we might die if we do this. Jesus takes that a step further. Not it feels like you might die, but you actually need to die. You need to die to yourself and follow me. On the one hand, it's easy, total surrender to Christ. On the other hand, it's completely insanely difficult, total surrender to Christ. Just look at what it says in Luke. Jesus says this in Luke 9, verse 23. If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. Or then there's, this little passage over in Galatians chapter 2, verse 20. Paul says, I've been crucified with Christ. Crucified with Christ. And I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. Friend, Jesus offers us satisfaction at the very point that we need it, at the deepest level that we need it, in a way that no diet plan or any other thing that we strive after can fulfill us. Jesus offers to meet us in our deepest spot, but it requires one thing: belief in him, total surrender to Christ. It sounds easy, but it's also ridiculously hard. Still, the only way for us is that way. If you want to taste and see that the Lord is good, if you want to experience the bread of life and hunger and thirst no more, that's our only option. That's our only out. That's our only way. Friend, I want you to experience the impossible through Christ and hunger no more, thirst no more, and learn to be satisfied in whatever situation, whether hungry or full, because Jesus is the one that is meeting you at the deepest spot of your spirit, of your heart, of your life. Would you be willing to take up that diet plan this year? In one way, it will cost you nothing. In another way, it costs you everything. Would you die to yourself, that you might live for Christ and for his kingdom? Amen.